Welcome to the new advisor orientation of HOSA Basics 23-24. These orientations will be in two parts. The first one is a basic overview of a new chapter and competitive events. Part 2 is navigating the Cal-HOSA website and registering with the CMS system. My name is Dee Niedringhouse, and I am the competitive event director. I have been an advisor in Cal-HOSA for over 35 years. Let me have Janet and Diane introduce themselves.
Hi, welcome. My name is Janet Gower, and I am the Assistant Competitive Event Director for Cal-HOSA.
Hi, my name is Diane Bartosh, and I proudly serve as the Technology and Communications Director for Cal-HOSA, with a dynamic role encompassing website management, competitive events tabulations, and providing essential technical support to our advisors. I'm going to now hand it back over to Dee to begin the orientation.
You need 5 students to start a chapter, just 5. And you want to develop an interest. You want to find out what is HOSA. The students want to know this. They want to know what is the benefits to being a HOSA member. These are very important to your students. You also need to have an advisor that is a career technical education teacher with industry experience. You also need principal support. Boy, do you need them to help you, because if you have their support, they're going to be able to help you do all the things that you want to do, find ways to fundraise monies or find monies for you, whatever it is, they're going to be there to help you get through it. There is a Cal-HOSA affiliation survey, and that is approved by Cindy Beck. She is our state advisor. And once she approves it, you will be able to actually start your chapter affiliation. Now, you can always add students later. So I wouldn't start with more than 5 to begin with. But you have to remember that deadline date is 12/29/23. And this is a new deadline date. It used to be in January, so be aware. Mark this on your calendar, 12/29/23. The problem is if you sign up all the students that came to your first meeting, you're going to have to pay for them. You don't want to have to do that. So make sure that you know which students are going to stay with it. So I would probably only sign up your officers, maybe. Membership fees include both international and state. Fundraise membership fees. I think it'll give you an idea which students are going to go out there and do this. Or you can find funding sources for your students. That's up to you.
Bylaws. What are bylaws? HOSA bylaws are the basic rules used to conduct business in a fair and equitable manner. They are essential in helping your chapter map out its purpose and how it will run its chapter. They are the legal guidelines of the chapter. Many schools require clubs or organizations to have bylaws, so to ensure that the club is above board and run properly. There is an example of bylaws contained in this PowerPoint that your chapter can use. Just fill in the name and use only what you need to be able to conduct your meetings and run your chapter. Bylaws must be approved by the members of the chapter. They should be reviewed at least yearly. Probably when you submit them bylaws again to your school's organization. If you don't have to submit them to your school, it is still required by HOSA to have them. As things change, so should your bylaws. So please update them. Finally, policies and procedures. Policies and procedures are a set of agreed upon practices that are easy to understand and that align with the information contained in your bylaws. Example, when the bylaws state officers of the chapter shall be nominated and elected by a majority vote at the beginning of the school year. How you handle the nominations and voting are left up to the procedures, your procedures. Can the nomination be on paper? Can it be verbal? Can it be sent in by email? Next, is an example of the bylaws. They will be accessible in a Word document online at Cal-HOSA.
Officers. This organization is a student-directed organization, but the advisor is the one that oversees and guides these students. There are advisor duties and items that the advisor can delegate to students. We don't want to burn out our advisors. We want you to utilize your officers. For example, the president. What is the president going to do? Schedule meetings, write the agenda, and hold meetings? They're going to watch over the agenda and gather information from his or her team. Vice presidents. Cal-HOSA has 5 vice presidents. One of the members can monitor the website for changes. They can be in charge, one of them can be in charge of the fundraising ideas and development. Maybe the other one can do community service projects. One of them can be involved with the speakers. It's up to you how many you have, but more than one is probably a good idea. The secretary, well, they usually write the minutes. They watch that calendar like a hawk, so everyone is on time and meets the deadlines. What does your treasurer do? They count the money with another student and with the advisor. You want to make sure that there's no temptation there at all, so that you don't have any trouble with the money. There's no question there. Historian takes pictures and documents the chapter's activities. What does a reporter do? Maybe they can do a Cal-HOSA school newsletter. They can document events that are exciting and share with the school or the district. Parliamentarian. They keep the meetings on track with Parley Pro procedures. You may have a classroom representative develop a job description, or an ambassador you can develop a job description there too. It's up to you, but the more students involved in the running of the organization, it gives them a part of the organizations that they are responsible for. I think they really like to be involved. Give them a name. Next slide. This is Erin Kim, and she is our Cal-HOSA state president. How do you elect officers? We don't want it to be a popularity contest, and sometimes it becomes that. So you want to do more than just have a popularity contest for the students to elect. You want someone who is responsible and willing to do the work that you need to get done. You can have a HOSA test. You can do an interview with maybe 2 teachers, and then you can assign points, maybe a third each. You can have the students vote, that's okay. They can do speeches where the students listen to them, and then they can decide who they want to vote for. It's all a good way to do officer elections. This is the budget. You have to develop a budget. Remember, it's projected. This is just an example. So we start out with 0 balance. We have no money, but we're going to do a lot of things. We may have a food fair. We may have a fundraiser of some type. We used to go see a show that they would pay students to go watch. One of them was called The Doctor Show. One of the advisors does a movie night where they show a movie. They don't charge for the movie, but they have goodies and popcorn and hot chocolate and all that kind of stuff. And that's what they charge for. That's where they get their money. Maybe you have an Academy sweatshirts. You might want to do that one. You can do a basket giveaway. Don't forget that if there are raffle tickets and somebody asks you for it, you got to give them one, because you cannot do a raffle. It's a giveaway, but you really want them to, pay for the ticket. Food sales, or you may even get donations. So here we came up with a little over $5,000 to start. Here's estimated expenditures. Membership. We're just looking at 10 students here, but that's $20 for the membership. That's a lot of money, $200 there. Then, of course, you need your blazers. I always told my students to go to the thrift store. If you go to the HOSA website and you find out how much a blazer costs, it can be up to $100 for a blazer. So it costs a lot of money. Then there's registration for RCE and SLC. And I don't know that this is correct, but it's just an estimate here. Then you've got hotel rooms. How much is that going to be? Food for the students, approximately $30 per day. I don't know about you, but some of these kids eat a lot more. You might want to bring some stuff with you. And then there's transportation. Are you going to take a bus? Or maybe you're going to fly. It all depends. We're going to be in Anaheim this year. So depending on where you are, you'll have to decide how you're going to get there. Another thing is sometimes your districts will say, if you're going out, then the organization has to pay for a sub. So that money could come out of your funds. So be wary about that. Also note that ASB sometimes will take some money from your account for their ASB funds. So you need to find out all that information from your school, how they work it. Next.
Meetings. This is the time when you gather together to discuss business. Planning a meeting. This should be discussed with the students so that you and they can decide on a day and a time that works best for all. Some chapters have their meetings at lunch, some after school. The frequency of meetings needs to be established also. When you finally agree upon a day, time, and how often you're meeting, it's important to run the meeting with an agenda. You can let your president set the agenda, or you can set it with him or her. The purpose of an agenda is to make sure you get through all of the items that need to be discussed. A sample agenda is shown and can be an outline for your chapter to follow. Where you will probably spend most of the time is on new business, but don't forget to hear what old business did not get accomplished at the last meeting. See if a couple of your students want to learn parliamentary procedure. It is a great skill and one they will use in the future. Your president should definitely know the order of business by Robert's Rules of Order.
Plan of work. We call this POW. Here's an example. You want to calendar the months. We want to look at possibly student recruitment, meetings, deadlines, guest speakers. This may be something that your secretary is going to be in charge of. When is the Fall Leadership Conference? When is the pin design due? When is RCE? When is the State Leadership Conference? And of course, the last one, the International Leadership Conference. When are those? Here's an example. In September, you're going to do recruitment. You're going to find these students. Where are they? Your students are your best sources. You're going to elect officers. You're going to get together and find out how you're going to get your membership dues. You're going to have a meeting, set the dates. You're going to go over the bylaws. This is your elected officers. They're going to look at this stuff. Maybe in October, you're going to have a fundraising activity. The Fall Leadership Conference is in October. Maybe you want a community service project. And maybe you want a guest speaker to come in and talk about a career or anything. Next slide. If you have any questions, you can email me. I'm Dee Niedringhouse. And then, or Janet Gower. She's our Assistant CE Director. We will answer any emails very quickly. Now we're going to go on to competitive events. Is Cal-HOSA competitive events. Next slide. What is competitive events? This is really a program that's designated to motivate your students, and it provides a system for recognizing their competency. What have they learned in your classroom? and how it relates to job training and HOSA activities. It really allows our HOSA members to improve their knowledge, skills, and leadership. We have a Cal-HOSA competitive event philosophy, and we have a few ideas here. We want to make competitive events a good experience for all the students. We want to make it fun. We recognize that the students get very nervous, and we want to help them. We follow Cal-HOSA and International HOSA programs, guidelines, and processes. And we want to be committed to the highest standards. We feel that our competitive events team has integrity, honesty, trust, respect. We play by the rules and teamwork. But most of all, we want to be fair to all students.
Acronyms. In healthcare, we are used to acronyms and abbreviations, so you shouldn't be surprised that HOSA has a lot of them. These are a few that you will hear often. VFLC stands for Virtual Fall Leadership Conference. It is the kickoff event to get students interested in all that HOSA has to offer. It is virtual, with the state officers welcoming students. And then there are live Zoom presentations covering competitive events, how to navigate the HOSA website, and how to register chapters for competition. It also covers ideas on the National Service Project, Beat the Match. Just because it says it's virtual, many chapters have opted for a hybrid fall leadership conference. Several chapters get together to network. They have their own guest speakers and competitive event demonstrations. Check with your region to see if anyone is hosting, or better yet, host your own for other schools, or just host for your own school. Next is RCE, Regional Competitive Events. This is the first of our 2 competitive event programs. It is held in January, and it is done virtually. Why do your students need to compete at this conference? Because they must compete at this conference to qualify for the State Leadership Conference competitive events. It's also the first time they'll take the written test, and the first time to upload required materials to the new digital upload system. This system is replacing Tallo and Google Docs. If this sounds a little overwhelming, don't worry, there is help. Diane Bartosh has put together videos and information on registering students and uploading the materials to the new digital upload system. SLC, the State Leadership Conference. This conference is held in April. This has both virtual component and an in-person judging. Remember, students who qualify from RCE will be able to compete at this conference. So, why attend the SLC? Well, for those students who did qualify, it's the second time to take the written test, the second time to upload required materials, but these should be improved presentations and materials to the new digital upload system. But for other students, it's also a time to compete in recognition events and the ATC testing. It's time to network and attend leadership workshops. Finally, the last acronym, ILC, International Leadership Conference. It is held in June, and this year it is in Houston, Texas. The top 3 students who placed at the State Leadership Conference are invited to attend and compete in their events at this conference. Just a little bit about competition. There are 3 different levels that students are assigned to, and they only compete within their assigned group. There's middle school, secondary, which is high school, post-secondary, and collegiate. If there is a test component, it is completed online at your school site, in which you will need to have a proctor, not you or another advisor, but possibly the librarian, a counselor, or maybe an administrator. The required uploaded materials and presentations are judged using a rubric. There is a built-in standard deviation for many of these events to make it fair when we have several judges. Just to go over categories. First, health science. These are tests done online with that proctor that you have designated. As you can see, there are some tests geared to middle school and some to secondary, post-secondary. The next category is health professions. And these events have a test component and a skill evaluation that is done in person at the SLC. So for RCE, they only take the test online. Many of you might be teaching these professions in your classroom. This is the first year that middle school students will be able to participate in a skill evaluation, and it is called Foundations of Veterinary Science. Also, we are offering 2 new events, phlebotomy and physical therapy. The next category is emergency preparedness. These are events that focus on emergency medicine and include CPR and first aid, emergency medical technician, and CERT, Community Emergency Response Team.
We're going to move on to leadership events. As you can see, middle school has 4 events there, and secondary and post-secondary have their events. We don't have any new ones in this category this year, but they're all very exciting. And I think the one thing that's changed is extemporaneous writing is based on a health policy now. And it used to be healthy lifestyles has changed to healthy living. Okay, now we go to teamwork. This is middle school. It's got dynamic decisions, which kind of goes with creative problem solving for the secondary, post-secondary. Both have health career display and health education, and HOSA Bowl, which is my favorite. We also have medical innovations, and for middle school, it's exploring medical innovations. But there are some other ones that are great events to put your students in. This is recognition events for SLC only. So these only happen at the SLC. This is not going to happen at RCE at all. So you can go through those and take a look. There's the America's Blood Centers and HOSA Blood Drive. Emotional Wellbeing Challenge is a big one for both middle school and secondary. And the other new one is American Red Cross Volunteer Service.
Talk about how to select a competitive event selection for RCE, which is Regional Competitive Events, and SLC, which is State Leadership Conference. When choosing a competitive event for Cal-HOSA, students register for RCE, which is Regional Competitive Event, and SLC, which is State Leadership Conference. It's essential to follow the specific guidelines and make informed decisions. On the Cal-HOSA website, start visiting the Cal-HOSA guideline page for middle school and secondary, post-secondary. They each have their own page. This is where you'll find a variety of colored tiles representing different event categories. The red tiles symbolize health science, which is a test-only event with the exception of medical spelling, which at SLC will have a portion of what looks like a spelling bee. While the blue tiles encompass health professions, emergency preparedness, leadership, and teamwork events. For RCE, which is the Regional Competitive Events, the event selection, the participants have the opportunity to select one event from the red category, which is health science, and one event from the blue category, which is health professions, emergency preparedness, leadership, and teamwork. For SLC, you need to have qualified for the red and the blue events. If you qualified for both, you can compete in both. If you only qualified for one, you can only compete in that one event. Now, remember, to explore the option for SLC, you can add recognition events to your registration to enhance your experience and provide opportunities for additional recognition. Also, remember, we are offering ATC testing at SLC, but don't forget to register for the ATC testing while the SLC registration is open. This step is crucial and ensures you're prepared for the competitive challenges ahead of you. By following these steps and guidelines, you'll be well prepared to select the most suitable competitive events for RCE and SLC, maximizing your chances for success and recognition.
There are very special instructions for Cal-HOSA for RCE and SLC. This may differ from what you find on the HOSA.org website. So make sure that you are looking and you are having your students look at the Cal-HOSA website. We want to make sure that you read your guidelines. Dates in the guidelines that are found on the HOSA.org site are not the ones that are Cal-HOSA deadlines. So make sure that you look at the calendar to see when the deadlines are for RCE and SLC. When you look at the guidelines, make sure to look at the bottom of the page. It should read August 2023. Don't use any guidelines that were the 22nd, the 21st, only the current year, because they make changes. Every year they make changes. Follow the rubric when preparing for competition. The rubrics are located at the end of the guideline pages. Now I'm going to give you an example of a guideline. This is Health Career Display Guidelines. Okay. If you can see this more clearly, I don't know if you can make it any bigger. At the beginning, it talks a little bit of what's new. This is from HOSA. The thing that is different is in there for Cal-HOSA is in the blue. If you go further down the guidelines at the bottom of the page, you'll see what I was talking about when it says August 2023. This is the current guidelines. Let's keep going. We're going to move on. It gives you some general rules, official references. These are the references. What round one is, what kind of work is going to be involved, the project display, the measurements. Keep going. And round two, which is the presentation. Now, last year, we asked for photos of your career health display. That is not happening this year. Well, you're gonna show your display a little bit, but you're gonna do the presentation and not just the pictures of the career health display. Okay, keep going. I want to look at the rubric next. Here's the rubric. This is what you need to follow because this is what the judges have. The judges are going to look at this and this is how they're going to score the competitive student. So it's got display visuals, it's got the presentation, all of these. Okay. Read the guidelines.
Incorporating competitive events into your classroom. One of the best ways to use HOSA competitive events program is to incorporate it into your classroom. For example, if you are discussing social issues, use the biomedical debate topic. This year's topic is, should artificial intelligence in healthcare be welcomed or feared? Another great topic this year is the public service announcement. Fentanyl will kill you. If you are teaching CPR first aid, use the rubric rating sheets found in the guidelines from this event. But let's look at what HOSA has put together. Now, if you'll scroll down to the bottom of the site, you will find lesson plans on subjects like vital signs, medical math, oral health, health insurance, and mental health. Each lesson comes with a lesson plan, a video, and a PowerPoint. This site has a lot to offer, so please check it out for your classroom.
Your chapter responsibility. When we meet at SLC chapters, we need the chapters to help us run events. We cannot run all the events that we do without your help. We're going to ask for event managers, section leaders, and event personnel. And maybe even the students that aren't competing will help with volunteer positions. They might be a timer, a door monitor, runners, scorekeeper, or victims. But we need you all to help. New chapters, we try not to put them as lead in the event, but they'll help another chapter run an event so they can learn it. And some events are so big that we have more than one chapter assisting. This is a great way to learn an event. You might be asked to judge an event, but make sure that you do not have students participating in that event. It doesn't look good, and the other students, they find out. So make sure that you are not judging your own students. This is always an interesting subject. Are you a gold medal advisor? I hope not, because HOSA is so much more. Our students are winners because they came to compete. They're putting themselves out there. And it's more about the process. How did they get there? Did they work with another student and they helped each other? Was it a team? Did they put their ideas together and help each other? They worked hard on it. But only one person can get that gold medal. And I have had students tell me that they had such a good experience at HOSA and they didn't even win a medal. It's because of the camaraderie that occurs, how much the bonding that goes on, the networking, the leadership. There's so much more to HOSA than competitive events. If you win a gold, silver, or bronze, you are able to compete at the international level. This year, International HOSA is in Houston, Texas. Thank you so much for listening.